Hi there, this is Art and Such, and today I'm going to show you some of the basics of macrame, or how to make a friendship bracelet. I just felt like something different today, so I'm going to show you the basic knot, a couple of basic designs, and some tricks and tips. To start, I'm going to get you to pick 2 colors of thread. You can use wool, ribbon, embroidery thread works very nicely. It's the stuff you'd use for needlepoint. And you will measure and cut 2 strands together the length of your arm. So from the tips of your fingers, pinch it there and pull it up to your shoulder, and that's where you'll cut it. When you have your 2, you're going to make a knot, pinch the 2 together, wrap the other side up and over, so this piece is on the bottom. We're going to press that onto the top of the finger and roll this piece up and over. This will create a knot. You'll see on a lot of the demonstration videos and in books that people will use tape to place their thread down. I find this will slip out very easily from tape, even the good stuff, and it's actually very convenient if you have a cushion of some sort to use a safety pin. One of the benefits of safety pins is that you can carry this in your pocket and just attach it to your shoelace or your blue jean knees, and it all works fine. We're going to put the end of the safety pin right through the knot, make sure it's kind of snug, and place it onto your cushion or your knee or wherever. For our basic knot, it can go in one of 2 directions. You can have your knot go to the left, or you can have your knot go to the right. At this point it doesn't matter very much. I just want to mention this so you know the direction that the tail end points, that is where your thread is going to end up, and this becomes important later. So I will start with some green, and for our knot I'm going to take the thread I'm threading with and hold it in my right hand, and the other thread will go on my left hand, and I'm going to hold it tight and keep it tight. Now I'm going to stretch the tail of this green knot I'm knotting with, of this green thread I'm knotting with, over to the left, and I've created a bit of a gap here. I will reach inside, pull that thread back. Now if I just yank this to the top, it's going to be very loose, so what I like to do is pull it straight to the side, grab it close, pull it to the side, grab it close, and that will make the knot nice and tight. I'm going to show you again, and you always want 2 or more knots at a time, because otherwise the knots will spring back and things will be kind of wonky. So I've put the tail end over to the left, I'm reaching through the hole, and this is coming underneath and up through. Once more I pull it to the side, and I'm going to show you what I'm not doing. I'm not pulling my threads sideways from either direction. This one in the left stays down. So that's 2. Now if we keep going and we do 4, and we bring it around and do 4 again, and we do that 1 or 2 more times, 1 or 2 sets, I'll show you what happens. It's kind of cool. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You start to get a spiral. When you're ready to change colors, what you'll do is switch hands. So now my green will go into my left hand, and my brown here, which I'm using, will go into my right hand. And once more I'm going to take my tail end, pull it to the left. This one's a little bit longer, it's okay. We have a little gap here. I'm going to reach through the gap, pull the thread under, up, and through. And those of you who are interested in dream catchers, this is the exact same knot that you use. It's just kind of a side trivia there. We're going to do it again. And then I'm going to switch back and do 2 knots with the green. And I'll show you in just a minute what happens is we get a stripe. Now you can do this with any thickness of of strings, and I'll show you what I mean by that in just a minute. So the whole time, the band that is being, the thread that's being threaded over, knotted over, is stiff and tight in my hand. Very important. This will keep everything nice and steady. So there we have a stripe happening. Now I'm going to show you a little more advanced. We're moving on to 3 threads. And you can continue with your double thread pattern any way you like. You can alternate colors, stay to the same color. Any which way is cool. Now I have this one ready. This is with 3. I'm just going to bring this together here. So what we can do here is we can take 2 bands and place them together, hold them together, or as many bands as you'd like. Take our 3rd band and repeat. Bring it over, pull it through, to the side, up. Over, pull it through, keep it to the side, pull it up, keep the bottom tight. And this will make the spiral or the knots a little bit thicker. Now if you want to start on a diagonal, what you would do, and this is just to make a stripe going down, I'm going to add one more color for us too, I think. Let's put on some black. I'm kind of cheating here. This isn't something you want to do with a proper bracelet because it'll get a little mucky, but just for purposes of demonstration here, I'm tying on a band. We're going to get this ready. And now we have 4. So this can be an entirely different bracelet. To do a diagonal stripe, you decide which way it's going to go. I'm going to go from the left to the right, just because. And because I want to move this direction, I'm going to point my tail inwards to the right. I am going to hold my pink band with one of my hands. You can decide which is more comfortable for you. And you're going to reach into the hole, bring your black out and through, or your first thread out and through, and up. Point it in, bring it up and through, and again inwards. Now these two have switched spots. Your second thread, I'm so used to the rainbow looms. Second thread has become your first, and we're going to move on. Now we take our black, our second position, knot it twice over the next thread. As I said, you always want to do it twice. And now these have switched, and we're going to go over the last one 2 times. Once more, we're pointing outwards, pointing to the right. So now the black has moved, and I'm going to take the next one and start knotting inwards or to the left, from the left to the right. 2 knots over the first band, 2 knots over the second band, 2 knots over the third band, and you want to be careful that your bracelet isn't flipping over on you, because when you get the back side, it's going to be a little messier and get you confused. Now you'll see as we go, the threads sort of start to take a more comfortable position. It's easier to separate them, they'll be in place. We're going to go with the next one. Knot our new first over our new second twice. Knot it over the third one twice, and knot it over the fourth one twice. And I'll do one more row, and then I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, I'm going to show you 2 other things you can do working with 3 strands here, and then we'll move on from there. So for those of you who know how to braid and like braiding, we can adapt that to the knot form. I'm going to take this middle strand and hold on to it. Again, you can pick the hand. I'm going to use my right hand just to make things a little easier here. And with my left hand, I'll take the thread on the left side, point the tail over to the right, this is the direction it's going, and knot it 2 times. And this brings our blue into the middle. So these switch. Now I'm going to hold this centerpiece, my new centerpiece, with my left hand. And with my other hand, I'm coming in, tail end pointing to the left, and I'm going to knot my pink twice, my right hand thread 2 times until it's in the middle. Now we're going to keep following this, so it's going to go left in, right in, left in, right in. I'll do this 3 or 4 times and then you'll see. The tail is always pointing the direction that it's going, and we're always holding this middle one tight. Bring it through the hole 2 times. 2 times pointing inwards to the right. And again, and I'll get you a close-up here. Now we can also do the reverse. I'm going to tie a couple of knots here so we can differentiate between the 2 patterns here. When I say the reverse, I mean we can have it so that our knots are going in and then out, which sounds really confusing actually, but it isn't. What we're going to do now, I'm going to show you the last kind of knot here, which is, or one of the last basic knots anyway. We're going to take our outside band, point the tail in, knot it 1 time, and then we need 2 knots, but this time we're going to point the tail out. And it's going to reverse directions. So this ends up back where it started. I'm going to take my pink, point the tail inwards, knot it inwards 1 time, and for the second knot, I'm going to have the tail pointed out, and it will return to its original place. And this makes a zipper zigzag effect. So knot it 1 time in, 1 time out. 1 time pointed in, 1 time with the tail pointed out. I'll do 1 or 2 more and then you can see this. And to switch, and then I'll show you how to switch colors. Okay, it makes a zipper effect. Now if you want to switch colors, all we have to do is take the color we no longer want on the outside and knot it into the middle. So 1 knot pointed in, 2 knots with the tail pointed in. Now this is on the middle and we have new outside bands. So I'm going to go back to pink, knot it in once, knot it out once. My right side, knot it in once, then point outwards, knot it out once. Knot it in, knot it out. Knot it in, and then back out. Remember to keep pulling it to the side before you bring it to the top. So what we get is the same design but different colors there. And you see our pink and our blue are still on the outside where we started with them. To do an arrowhead, it's called, where you have stripes coming inwards, we're going to need more threads. So you can get as many as you want, but you need a minimum of 2. I'm going to use 3 colors, and these will be twice as long. And what you're going to do is cut them to twice the length of your arm, unless you want it to be shorter. You are going to fold each of these over until you find the middle point. It's easier if you cut them together, measure them together actually. But okay, this is the middle point where it's folded over, and I'm going to grab the last one here as close to the middle as I can. We're going to do our knot again. So bring this around, bring this piece up and over, put it on top of your finger, pull this bottom piece up, and pull tight. And this gives you a nice little loop that you can hold on to. So this will go onto our safety pin next. Now what you want to do is separate it so that you have one of each color on either side. As I said, I'm using 3, but you can use any number really as long as you have 2 on each to start. I'm going to pick the color arrangement, so I'm going to do red, yellow, green, and the other side will be a mirrored reflection. So red on the outside and then yellow, green in the middle. And we're going to actually push this whole right side over to the side. And just remember the order. Write it down if you need to. And I'm going to start by doing a stripe. So I'm taking my outside band thread. There I go again. We're going to put the tail over the first thread, pull it through, knot it up, and repeat. We're moving it inwards. So the tail goes over. We pull it just under that one thread. Now our yellow goes to the left, and we're going to knot this over our second thread, for which I'm using a green. Now red is in the middle. Now we push this to the side and we go to our other side. We're coming in the same way. So red on the outside, then yellow, then green. Now I'm moving inwards. So the tail end points in. I'm going to make my gap, bring it through, do my 2 knots, pull the first thread to the side, knot it over the second thread 2 times. Push these back. Now we have yellow, green, red, and our 2 reds are in the middle, but we don't want the center to be floppy, so we are going to take 1 red and knot it over the other. And you can choose your direction. So 1 knot, 2 knots, and switch. And this is your first row. It won't look like much yet, but it will get broader as we go. So let's do a couple more together. We're going to push one side over. We're going to take our new first, which for me is a yellow, point the tail over to the right, and make 2 knots going inwards. Repeat over the red, point the tail inwards, make 1 knot, and check that your first thread is out of the way too. You don't want to grab that up. Now we have our yellow in the middle, green and red on the side. We're going to go to the other side, knot green over yellow 2 times, and our thread is moving inwards, so the tail points inwards. Pull it under, to the side, and up. And again, over the red 2 times. I'm still pulling my middle one down as it gets knotted over. We have our yellows in the middle. They're sitting there loose, so we want to knot them together. 1 over the other, and have them switch sides. Now it's very nice and tidy. We can go on to our next color. I'll move a little bit faster for you here. So I have green in the first position now. I'm going to knot it tail pointed to the right or inwards 2 times over the next band, next thread, 2 times over the next thread. Same from the other, going from the other side, we're going to do the same thing. Green pointed in or to the left, knot it over the first one, bring it over, knot it over the second thread, and knot your center 2 threads together. And I'll hold the camera up for you again. Let's do 2 more rows, and then we'll start making this into a diamond or a flower. So much you can do with these, it's really pretty limitless. And there are some amazing sites online, and there are some amazing books, and some really cool things you can do if you're just playing around with it. Okay, there's our next red row. The more threads you have, the more colors, the thicker this will become, is another thing I should mention, and that goes for most patterns that you might be using. The greater the number of the thread, the thicker the bracelet will be, the wider, and also the faster your threads will run short. and together. Now just to show you, the back side will look a little bit different. The back side has a more square geometric image to it, and this is where you can see your 2 knots happening instead of 1. So if you make a mistake and you need to undo something, what you do is you go to the last knot that you used, and you're going to take your fingernail and, trying to get a good shot here, take your fingernail and you pull down in between those 2. So right where you see that gap, if that was the last knot you did, you get your fingernail in, you pull it down until it's loose. It's a very good trick. I'm going to switch this back to the front, the smoother, rounder side. And now if we want it to switch it so that our lines are coming downwards this way, we're going to have to fill the little space on the side. So for that, I'm going to take my first thread and knot it 2 times inwards, like so. And my first thread on the other side. This is a symmetrical pattern, so everything you do on one side you want to repeat. If you want this outside thread to stay where it is, you can always do 1 knot in and then point it out for your second knot. Remember, the direction of the tail determines where your thread goes. So now we have that little space filled. We can take our yellow bands and knot them outwards. Those are your center bands. So I'll pull one section to the side, and I still have 3 here. I'm going to take my yellow, point the tail out, and knot it over the next one 2 times, and over the last one to the very end 2 times. I'll do this on the other side. I want my yellow thread to come out this way, so its tail will be going to the right again, like so. And we do 2 knots outwards and 2 knots outwards again. Now there are a variety of ways in which you can do this. You can even take this last knot and have your yellow turn back inwards so that you only need a center knot and then you can bring it back. So if I did a second knot of the yellow and faced it inwards, my outside color, and had it in this position, then what I could do is tie the 2 center greens together and bring my yellows inwards past the greens. What I'm going to do, though, this is, I guess, a more traditional method for the basic design, is I'm going to take my 2 center bands, threads, green, I'm going to knot them together 2 times, and they switch. Now I'm going to move this out, and maybe I'll show you the yellow trick right here. So I'm going to knot it out 1 time, and this time I'm going to knot it back inwards. So my second knot, for my second knot, the tail points back to the center. And we'll do that again for the green on the right side. So I'm going to point the tail out, knot it out once, and then knot it back in once. We're going to put our 2 center pieces together again. And you can, in fact, if you choose, keep knotting the greens outwards and then back inwards and bringing the yellows in on the side, and that'll give kind of a center column of green. But we're going to keep to our original plan to do a diagonal here. So let's bring our yellows back inwards. This is on the outside. I'm going to knot my yellow in over that second red and then over the green in the middle. 1 knot, 2 knots, tail pointed in, 1 knot, 2 knots, tail pointed in, and it's in the middle. And let's do that again from the other side. Take the yellow, point the tail inwards, and knot it twice. Again 2 times. And we'll knot our 2 center pieces together. They're both yellow in my case, and they switch. There's one kind of a diamond we've made. I'm going to do a row inwards from either side to show you how this can transition back into the arrowhead. So I'm taking my first thread, knotting it twice, tail pointed in, knot it 2 more times. Remember, this is the same as doing the basic diagonal. We're just coming in from the left to the right twice. We'll repeat it on the other side. Point the tail in with this thread, knot it in twice, over yellow 2 times, and together. And I'm going to show you one other kind of a diamond. Oh, this is something else. If you look really closely, it looks sort of like a fish. So, our other kind of diamond, I'll repeat what I did over here, and I'm going to make something to fill the space. So I'm going to take my outer green and knot it over my outer yellow on either side. And you can do it the other way around if you want the yellow to show up. It's really up to you. And I'll repeat, if you want your threads to stay where they are, all you have to do is 1 knot in, and then your other knot will point out. And that will keep it in its original position. So I'm going to take my new center bands, which are red, and I'm going to knot them outwards. And they're going to go over that green that we knotted in 2 times, tail pointed out, and 2 more times, tail pointed out over that yellow. And just like so. And on the other side, we're coming out red over green, red over yellow. 2 knots on either. We're working our way outwards. I'm going to go back to the center and knot my green 2 times over the other green. This is whatever thread you have in the middle. And then I'm going to knot it all the way out this time over the next band. So 1 knot, 2 knots, in the other direction. Now my tail is pointed to the right, so that's the direction it's going. I'm going to knot it 2 times. And you see, the last time that we did this, we had the second knot bringing our green back. Now it's gone all the way to the outside, so I can show you we have a new center 2 colors. And we're going to knot the 2 yellows together, and then we'll bring everything back in. There are 2 ways you can bring them back in, possibly more. You can I'll show you one way. The other way is to knot your red or your first thread over your second thread and then over your third. And it will look something like this. The other way is to bring back the threads in the order that we took them out. So take your the thread that's now in the second position, which we knotted outwards, and knot it back inwards 2 times. And from the other direction, knot your green inwards 2 times, and then bring them together, over. If you want to continue with a string of flowers, you can take your red, knot it inwards, and then knot it outwards. And it'll curve around the side of your flower, but enable you to continue directly onto the next flower, because that will leave your reds on the side and let you bring your greens out again. The other thing to do, or if that just sounds confusing, is to take your reds and knot them back to the center. So 2 times over that next thread and 2 times over one of your center threads. And from the right to the left, come in once, come in twice, and knot your reds together. Now you see I've done 2 different flowers or diamonds or fish, whatever you'd like to call them, and they are in 2 different colors. If you want all of your fishes to have a yellow outside, for instance, what you would do is finish your fish and repeat the arrowhead pattern until you reach the next yellow of that same color. So those are some options and some tricks and some of the basic strategies that you can work with. I hope you'll get back to me and give me some feedback of whether you liked this video, what else you'd like to see, and what was confusing or what was too easy for you. And I thank you for watching.